Joining us now, 2016 presidential candidate who ran against Donald Trump in the primary, and MSNBC political analyst now, John Kasich, former governor. John, thanks for being with us. I want you to give me your opinion on what David Frum is arguing, that Haley's voters are not gettable by Donald Trump.
It's probably true. I'm not sure that they were so much for Haley as much as they were not for Donald Trump. And by the way, it seems as though politics has become an awful lot about expediency. I was one of the people who walked away. It wasn't that important to me that, well, first of all, when I didn't win in 2016, I had a shot at doing this again. And the fact of the matter is that you cannot do a political it's not wise to do a political calculation today based on what might happen down the road. Former Governor George Voinovich used to say, take care of stuff today, and what happens tomorrow will take care of itself. So I think Haley's decision, by the way, was based on expediency. I think she felt that if she didn't do this, she wouldn't be viable in the future. Who knows what the future is going to bring? And how will she feel if the future does not bring what she hopes it will bring? So, I think people need to be connected to what they think is right at the time and not what they think the benefits of making compromises today for what might happen tomorrow. And I can't tell you how she thinks about this. Yeah. I'm not about to do it, but it sure doesn't look very good. And I think that the people who were for her, some of them were, but I think a lot of them were just like, I don't like Trump. It's a Republican primary. They're still voting for her because it's their one way to express their displeasure with him in some of these states, even after she's been out.
I wonder what her goal is, because it's not like Trump voters really liked her either. And as you saw in the clip that we played from 2016 of my friend Jacob Soboroff asking her about whether she's going to vote for Donald Trump, she didn't seem like she was excited to do it then. And today she did the endorsement once again. It smacks of inauthenticity. And that, as we've been talking about, is repulsive to voters.
Well, I think voters are getting pretty used to people who say one thing one day.
But they don't like it, John. That's part of the reason why they voted for Donald Trump.
Look, I can only talk for me, okay? The only person I can speak for is myself. I went to Cleveland, but never went to the convention. I helped get the convention to Cleveland. I didn't support the guy. I never endorsed the guy. I endorsed Joe Biden in the last election. Who I'm not happy with, particularly now. But the fact is I was true to myself, and I felt good about it. Maybe other people, maybe she feels good to herself. I don't know, but I can tell you for me, I myself am able to hold my head high and be able to stand on what I thought was the right principle. And look, even if people were mad at the time, and they were, and some are still angry with me, you still could have another chance. Life can go on. You never know what the future is going to bring. Am I right? I mean, you just don't know what tomorrow is going to be.
What you're saying is you are being true to yourself. You're being true to your beliefs. And it sounds like you're saying you sleep well at night and you're happy about the decisions you made. When some of these Republicans who say Donald Trump is a big threat to democracy, he's unhinged, et cetera, chaotic, when they turn around and decide that they're going to vote for him, part of the explanation is that Joe Biden is a big threat. He's catastrophic. He is a danger to democracy himself. I'm wondering, I know you're not happy with Joe Biden, but if you were to name a policy that he's enacted or legislation that he's been behind that you would equate to Donald Trump and his threat to democracy, is there one that you would equate as just as bad?
I mean, look, the reason I was for him at the time is I felt that he was going to be more bipartisan and that things would be settled down. And that's what I've been disappointed in. I don't think he's been as bipartisan as I would like him to be. In fact, I think he's moved too far away from the center towards the left. I didn't think he would do that. But look, it's really about how you look at somebody and whether you decide they should be president based on the whole range of things. And so I think look, I'm not here to call names on Nikki Haley. I'm just saying some of those things she said were very, very dramatic and very strong. And then she went, and it looked like she blinked. It didn't look like Trump reached out. And so how can I, honestly, how can I try to judge her other than to look at this and scratch my head and say why? And I do understand why. If you want to be a player in the future, the calculation today from all the political and analysts around you, the calculations today is you got to get with the program. I got to tell you, John McCain was never one who wanted to get with the program, and he did pretty darn well. And actually, John Kasich never got with the program, and he's not doing too well. Look, I'm on TV with you today, right? So you never know what the future is going to bring, but be true to yourself.
He's not doing too well, or he is doing well. I think he is doing well.
I'm doing very well. And there is a future out of politics, but sometimes you can go out, you can come back in, and you're more energized, more creative than ever. So
we'll see.
I'm a happy guy.
We'll see if you make a political comeback in the future. In the meantime, we will have smart political conversations on this show. Governor John Kasich, thank you very much for joining me, as always.
Thank you.